So when we talk about cover crop selection, that's oftentimes one of the most challenging decisions when integrating things like a cover crop into our production system. One of the reasons is it's whenever you integrate a cover crop, it's obviously going to be one of the highest economic inputs that you're going to put in. More often than not, cover crop producers are either grazing or not grazing. So, this is really either the only or probably the primary input they're putting into their system before they go into a cash crop. We often don't see any inputs in fertilizers or pesticides or anything like that. So we truly are seed cost being the primary input into the system. So it's not only a very potentially costly decision, but it's also a very important decision. When I get asked what cover crop should I do, the first question I always ask, and everybody should ask, is what is my goal? Goals are very important to have on a farm production system, and they're very important whenever you want to integrate cover crops into your system. So I always tell growers we can probably do one thing really well, two things pretty good. By the time we get to 3 or 4 goals, we're probably not going to do all of them good enough that you would see potentially a return that you're expecting to. Once again, cover crops are not a late night infomercial. It doesn't do everything plus wash the dishes, plus tuck your kids in bed and do all that. It really can do one thing really good, two things pretty good. So if you're working with growers, or if you are a grower wanting to integrate cover crops, come up with those top 2 things that you want to have onto a system and then move from there. The other thing is, as we look behind us and we go through some of these cover crops, these are pre-done mixes. However, most of the time whenever I'm working with growers, a pre-done mix doesn't check all the boxes, or to check all the boxes, it's too costly. I highly recommend working with a local seeds rep or working with these individual businesses to create your own mix with the components you want and the components you need. Work with your local NRCS agent, your county extension agent, Oklahoma Conservation Commission, state specialist, area agronomist, anything to get a good mix, and then work with those seed companies to try to get a mix that suits you. Don't just buy sticker price on some of these mixes, because oftentimes the cost is very high for the return we get, especially here in Oklahoma, to where potentially some of those returns are a little more marginal than in other places like the Northeast and the Midwest, where cover crops are implemented, and we could see those margins quite a bit higher. So that's the first thing that you want to look at when picking a cover crop. Have a couple of goals in mind, and be willing that if a mixed component doesn't meet those goals, that you don't need it. And it's always one of those things that you can throw it in and try it in a future year, but really and truly we want to stick to what we're going to get to achieve our goals the easiest and the cheapest way possible.